Guys, this is Ishwari. I just gave my IELTS exam on 6th of February 2026, and I'm here to share my experience so I can help fellow students or professionals who are planning to give this exam. So I gave the computer-based test, and let me tell you, the IELTS exam was very well conducted. The staff there was just so helpful. You can ask absolutely any question to them, and they will help you very well. They are very particular about time and also about your comfort. They keep asking you if you are comfortable. If you have any issues, you can just tell them, and they also provide you everything that you need for the test. You only need to carry your passport, and everything else is just taken care of. Even though it's a computer based test, they do give you a piece of paper to write down notes, or just to make notes while in the listening module, or if you want to write down something which is going to help you in some module. They give you two papers. The first paper you can utilize for the listening and reading, and then they give you the second paper for the writing. So personally, I always felt that the listening module was going to be the toughest, at least for me, because I used to always lose marks when I was solving papers at home with time. But surprisingly, it was the opposite. They give you very high quality noise cancellation headphones, and there's absolutely no disturbance. You just have to listen to the audio very carefully and understand what they are saying. Many a times there are synonyms involved because they don't want to give you the direct answers. So you have to be very thorough with your synonyms so that you understand what they are saying, and you can just then and there fill out your answers. It is very easy in the computer based module because you just have to fill it out then and there, and there is no like paperwork involved. So it doesn't really take much time. You just have to listen to it very carefully. So there are four audios which are going to be played, and the first two are pretty easy, and it gradually gets difficult is what I have observed. So in the first module is just one person, or there's a conversation happening, and it is pretty slow paced conversation, but gradually the speed of the audio increases, the speaking increases, or the people in the audio increase. So you have to be very alert as to what a person is saying or who is saying that. You have to identify how many people are there in the conversation, what are their names, and you just have to stay alert. It's not difficult at all, honestly. You just have to practice, and even though while practicing it might seem difficult at home, in the actual exam it's not difficult, because when you're at home and practicing there are so many disturbances involved. But in exam there's absolutely going to be no disturbance. All that you're going to hear is the audio, that's it. So it's very easy to catch on answers in the exam. What I would suggest is listen to TED Talks from Spotify. Just put on headphones and listen to the TED Talks, and just write down all that you hear. Whatever you hear, just write it down, and then you can play the audio again and check what you missed out. At least that is how I practice. While the people are talking, the accents can be different. So you also have to kind of get used to people talking in different accents, because the numbers, how they pronounce the numbers or the letters, can be really tricky. So yeah, just listen to a lot of native English speakers or different accents, and try to write down all that you hear, and that is the best exercise I would suggest for listening module. Okay, now coming to the reading module, I also felt that the reading module was pretty easy. The first two passages were very easy. The third passage was a little tough in terms of words and understanding. But yeah, I attempted almost every question. I did not run out of time. It is very important to check your answers once you are done with your solving, because many a times you can take the wrong answer. So I had enough time to check all my answers and everything. And I also saved a lot of time because I read the passages thoroughly. I know these YouTubers will tell you just skim through the passages and everything, but honestly, what worked for me is reading the passages carefully, giving it good 5-7 minutes to each passage, and understanding where the answers could be. Obviously, first of all, read your question paper thoroughly, then read the passages so that you know that this answer is here or that answer is there. You can point out your answers very easily, and at least that is what worked for me. And I gave good 5 to 7 minutes for each passage to read each passage, and then finding answers was very easy and it saved me a lot of time. So, one advice that I would give to all the students and professionals taking this test: do not skim through it unless you're really running out of time. Uh, Give good amount of time for your understanding and to read each and every line, each and every passage very carefully, understanding what the passage has to say, and then it becomes a lot easier and you save a lot of time. I'm going to be talking about the writing module now. I'm being very honest, writing module was the toughest for me, and I'm going to tell you all about it, what all mistakes I made, where I lost marks, and how you can avoid those mistakes. So, as you know, there are two writing tasks: there is writing task 1 and writing task 2. In the first writing task, you can get anything that displays data, for example, a graph, a pie chart, a diagram, a map, an illustration, anything. So, whatever illustrates and gives you an information about a certain object or a certain area is writing task 1, where you have to summarize whatever you see, point out the main differences or the main factors affected or the main factors changed, or anything that points it out, like the first thing that you see in a diagram. This was pretty easy for me because I had practiced a lot of writing tasks. Since I felt that the writing task would be difficult, you have to complete it in an hour, and again you have to use very good lexical resources. What I mean by lexical resources is that you have to paraphrase everything and use good words which are not common words, which are like good C1 C2 level words. um, and so yeah, it was pretty good for me. I was given 3 pie charts, and in those pie charts there were different TV programs. So one was cartoons, one was sports, one was news TV channels, and I was given these different things that people watch on TV and how it has changed over the years. First pie chart was 11 to 15 age group, the second pie chart was 16 to 21, and the third pie chart was 21 to 25. And how people's watching habits have changed or are different in these different pie charts, like in these different age groups, is what I mean. And I had to summarize this information in 150 to 200 words. Moving to writing task 2, this is where I have lost a lot of marks, and I'm going to tell you why. I spent a lot of time in writing task 1. Ideally, you should be spending like 20 minutes in writing task 1 and the rest in writing task 2, that is 40 minutes. But I spent good 30 minutes in writing task 1 because I had to summarize a lot of information, right? So I ran out of time in writing task 2. I wish I had more 5 to 10 minutes. It would have been sufficient to like check everything. When you're typing, there are a lot of errors that at least I make. I miss out on a few commas, or there are a few technical errors that I do make, and I was not able to correct any of that. I was not able to write the concluding paragraph in writing task 2, which is an extremely important component of that answer. So I would suggest people to finish writing task 2 first and then go on to writing task 1. The reason I'm saying is because writing task 2 holds 60% marks in the writing module, while the writing task 1 holds only 40% marks. So I would suggest people to bag those 60 marks first and then go for the 40% marks, because even though you lose some marks in the writing task 1 is okay, but you need to get good marks in writing task 2 for your overall band to improve. And that is one mistake that I made, and I hope none of you make this mistake. After these 3 modules were over, I was given a short break of like 30 minutes, and then I had my speaking test. Moving forward to the speaking test, personally for me, speaking test was really fun and it was very easy. One advice that I followed was that you have to pretend that you're speaking to a friend, and that advice made it a lot more easier for me, because I do get anxious when like I have to talk in a test. When there's like a viva happening, I am like super anxious before an exam. So this advice helped me a lot in the speaking test again is divided into 3 parts. In the first part, you just have to give like 1 or 2 line answers. The second part is the cue card part, where you have to speak for about 2 to 3 minutes and they give you a topic that you have to speak on. The third part is just a follow up of the second part. They just ask you follow up questions over the second part. And a few questions are also new, which don't have anything to do with the second part, but those are just like newer questions to test your vocabulary more. I'm going to be telling you everything that I was asked in all the 3 parts. So, in the speaking part 1, she asked me, where are you from? What kind of neighborhood do you live in? Do you like your neighborhood? If yes, why? If no, why? What do you like the most about your neighborhood? Would you like to live in the same neighborhood in the future? If yes, why? If no, where would you like to relocate? And what qualities would you want your neighborhood to have? Then we started talking about, do you like having long conversations or short ones? Do you like people who talk too much? Uh, if you like people who talk too much, then what? How would you like react to a person who is speaking out of their turn? Or how would you react if a person is talking too much and you're not interested? What would you say to that person? Do you like having long conversations or short ones? So, since I said that I like having long, deep conversations, there was a follow up question to this. What do you talk about? What kind of conversations are most like significant to you? So, just make sure whatever you say is very real and not fake, because the follow up question could be a deeper question into that answer that you just gave. So, in case if you are just pretending to give an answer just to sound nice or to sound correct, then don't do that, because there might be a deeper question that she could ask uh, to get to know you better. So she asked me what kind of conversations, what kind of deep conversations I like to have. And then my answer was that I love having conversations about outer space or spirituality and all of this. And there was no follow up question to that, but just know that you have to be very real about this. And even if not real, you just have to be well researched, because there can always be a follow up question to that. Second part of speaking test, which was the cue card part, I was asked to describe a time where I waited for something very special to happen in my life. And to this I had to speak for about 2 to 3 minutes, and I kind of exceeded that time limit, because of which she kind of just cut me off and asked me another question, uh, which was the third part that she started with, because I kind of exceeded the time. But don't worry, even if you exceed the time, it is honestly a really good thing, because you have not run out of ideas, which most people do. Most people go blank, they run out of ideas, they don't know what to speak next. So again, even if you have not completed your answer and she cuts you off, that means you have given a very fulfilling answer to her, and she has known enough about that event that happened in your life. So don't worry, even if you overspeak, just make sure that you cover all the points that you want to in that answer, so that you score better. In the third part of speaking test, there were follow-up questions, about the second part itself. So again, I was in the second part, I was asked to describe that time where I had to wait for something patiently to happen, right? So in the third part, the questions were mostly about patience and impatience. How can it affect your life? How can it affect the society? So my questions were, are you a patient or an impatient person? If yes, why? If no, how? uh, what is better, patience or impatience? Do you think that impatient people achieve results faster? Many people do think this way. So explain your answer. This was like a little longer answer I gave for this, because I am a very impatient person, and there have been times where I have taken impatient decisions and how it affected my life and the people around me. The last question that they asked me was, how do you think impatience affects society, economically or environmentally? How it affects a nation, and is how why is it important to have decisions taken in patience and not in haste? So with these two questions, she concluded the speaking test. I had to think fast, and especially when you're not familiar with such topics, like I was really not expecting for her to ask me patience and impatience. So I was not really familiar with these topics, so I had to think fast. So when you get topics where you have not rehearsed properly, or when you have not thought about these topics coming in the exam, you really have to think fast and you have to give good responses. One thing that I would love to remind you is that they're not testing your knowledge anywhere here. They're only testing your English speaking skills and how you respond to a question, how you respond to a problem, and that is all that they are testing. You don't need to be like anxious at all. They are very friendly. If you don't understand a question, you can ask them, can you explain it better, I did not get you, or can you repeat the question? They are very helpful, and they can always repeat the question if asked. You honestly don't need to worry about any of the modules. Just practice better, practice with time, because even if you know everything, if you run out of time, then you lose out on a lot of marks. With this, we come to the end of this video. It has been so good to share my experience and help at least a few of you. All the best, all the very best for your exams. I hope you all will do well. And if you have any more queries, or if you want to share your experience to help more people, please comment in the comment box below, and I will answer all your queries with whatever knowledge of the exam that I have. By profession, I'm a fashion designer and a full-time artist. If you're also inclined towards designing and painting, follow along and subscribe to my channel, as I will be making more content over those topics as well. Bye bye, have a nice day.